Welcome back to the second annual A Better NFL Top 100. I did this last year, and everyone agreed it was the perfect list. There were no disagreements whatsoever. We all agreed, yep, that's exactly how it should be. So hopefully I'll do it again, go 2 for 2 on my top 100. Doing a little different this year, though. I'm going to make 10 different videos with 10 different players in each video, counting down the top 100. I'll just run through some honorable mentions real quick before we get into the list. TJ Hawkinson, Justin Simmons, Darren Waller, Kyle Pitts, Dalton Schultz, David Njoku, Jonathan Allen, Colton Miller, Jamel Dean, TJ Edwards, and Nick Bolton. All were players who I said, okay, got to make the list, got to put them on the list, and then I got to the point where I had more than 100 players, so had to cut some players. They have been cut. Let's get into the actual list now, starting off with number 100. Number 100, Pat Freiermuth. Pat Freiermuth makes the list. Still young and definitely someone who I could see being higher on the list as his career goes along. I thought took a jump from year 1 to year 2. Interesting the way his stats have gone. So he had 60 receptions in 2021, only 63 in 2022. So only 3 more, but he had over 200 yards more. He went from 497 to 732 more yards. Touchdowns were a little down, but I think he's a good blocker, really good receiver, just a complete tight end. So I think the Steelers are happy to have him, and he just makes the list here at number 100. Number 99, I am going Trevor Lawrence. I think some people might be a little bit surprised that he didn't make it higher on this list. Listen, I could have put him higher. I certainly could have. One thing is worth noting, I don't factor in positional value on this list. I'm simply just putting in, how good you are, regardless of positional value. Although I didn't put special teamers on the list this year, so no kickers or punters. But other than that, I tend to not pay attention to positional value, simply just, how good are you? And I thought that he had a good second year. I think he deserves to be on this list. But I think the excitement with Lawrence is more so how we feel he could be next year. But this is the right now. While I do kind of predict what you're going to do next year in this, there's only so much you can do to predict that. So while if I'm doing a top 100 players I would want to have on my team, he's going in the top 10 in terms of what I think he can do in the future. But how good is he right now? Still very good. Still belongs on the list, but only at 99. Next up is the former Cincinnati Bengal, now a Atlanta Falcon safety. Jessie Bates makes the list at number 98, a guy who in 5 years with the Cincinnati Bengals has racked up 14 interceptions. Definitely just finds a way to get his hands on the football, and obviously had a big impact in their Super Bowl run just a couple years ago. So Jessie Bates, definitely someone who I think, Bengals had to make some decisions on who to keep and who to let go. They only had so much money. They wanted him, but he kind of got priced out. But I think Atlanta's going to be very happy to have him. Next up, the Houston Texans running back Dameon Pierce makes the list at 97. A guy who, first running back on this list. He will not be the last. Had 939 total yards in his rookie season, so just shy of 1,000, and he only played 13 games. If he played every single game, he almost certainly would have gotten the 1,000 yards rushing. Still had over 1,000 total yards, so I guess you get that. And give some of these runs he had, like his overall numbers aren't anything crazy, 4.3 yards per carry, but when you factor in the situation he was thrown into and how he really was their offense at times, I thought he had a very impressive rookie year, and I think has a good chance of being higher on this list in future seasons. Next up is Breece Hall. Listen, we didn't see a ton of Breece Hall. We only got 80 carries out of Breece Hall, the New York Jets running back, who only played in 1 year. But the guy had 5.8 yards per carry. I mean, he was a home run threat. He was so explosive for the New York Jets, and unfortunately, he got hurt with an injury. And so, being injured in such a small sample size, I can't put him too much higher on the list. But despite the fact that he's only had 80 carries, he still got put on the list here simply just due to how impressive those carries were, in my opinion. Number 95, it is Shaq Mason, the guard who keeps getting traded for nothing for some reason, despite the fact that I still have him as a top 100 player. He's here at 95. I thought he played well for Tampa Bay last year. He had previously played a lot for New England, and then he's now been traded to the Houston Texans, and I think should do a good job at helping out Dameon Pierce and also helping out C.J. Stroud, the young quarterback, who I really think that I don't get why he keeps getting traded for like very little draft capital. His numbers are good, not on a tough contract. I don't know. Maybe the NFL knows something I don't. I think he's very good. Number 94 is the safety for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Antoine Winfield Jr., who I didn't think had his best year last year, but still, I think is a very good player. Someone who, for Tampa Bay is that jack of all trades, played a lot of like slot corner last year, which I don't know if that's exactly how I think he's the most valuable, kind of just what he was necessary for him, and we'll probably see more of him doing that. Still think he's great though. Still think he belongs on this list. I think it was higher on my list last year than this year, but still 94. No, not a bad placement to be for Antoine Winfield. Number 93 is the Ravens center, Tyler Linderbaum, another first-year player, another player who's only played one season, worth mentioning. I don't have anyone who hasn't played in the NFL. You have to have at least played a game in the NFL to make the list. That seems reasonable. Linderbaum had 1 year and was really good at the center position. The only real knock I have on him is that it's that 1 year. It's such a small sample size that, I don't know how, it's a little bit hard to fully, talk about, put him too much higher on the list, but I think he belongs on the list just because it was a really good year. Number 92, I have another first-year player, Kyle Hamilton of the Baltimore Ravens as well. So, hey, they had 2 first-round picks for them. Both top 100 players, you'll take that. Hamilton was PFF's highest graded safety last year, so you could argue this is massively too low. Listen, I think Hamilton's great. I think that he belongs on the list, and 92 does feel a little bit low as I'm going through it. But the couple things I knocked him for is it's the 1 year sample size. And also, I do kind of wonder if, I think Baltimore used him in a very specific way, and he was awesome in that way. I do kind of wonder if, similar to an Antoine Winfield, if you started to use him in different ways, could maybe something like that PFF grades go down a little bit. I think it would, but not too much that I'm overly concerned. And I think if he does another year like what he did his first year, outside of a couple, a rough couple of games to start the season and is good after that, I think I would expect him to climb this rankings, maybe could even be in the top 50 in the next year or two. I fully expect him to continue to improve. For now, though, just put him at number 92. And finally, the offensive guard, Joel Bitonio for the Browns. I'm hopeful I said that right. I never say it right, so probably not, but I'm trying my best here. He is, very good as an interior offensive lineman for the Cleveland Browns. Been very consistent for quite some time, so gotta be honest, for the offensive lineman, there's not always a ton to talk about. It's like, yeah, this player is good. There's only so much you can really say, but definitely someone who's been very consistent and very good for Cleveland. So, I have him here at 91, and that is the first 10 of, my top 100. So, those are my first 10. Let me know, what do you think? Who on this list do you feel like is too low, too high? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.